What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the Trail Theory Podcast. I'm Brian.
I'm Alex.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Pfeiffer.
Welcome back, everybody, to yet another episode of the Trail Theory Podcast. We hope you're having a great day and or night and or evening and or afternoon. I don't know.
Keep going.
Whatever time zone you're in.
Don't stop.
A great year, a great day, a great week, a great month, whatever.
Whether it's raining, snowing, sleeting, or hailing, I hope you're having a great day, baby.
In case I don't see you, good morning,
son of
good
a
afternoon,
bitch.
and good night.
DJ Brian, sign it on.
Look, I guess I'm just amped up. I'm excited to talk about this episode. I'm excited to kind of go through. There's kind of no secret that I'm excited about doing more extreme type of trips and kind of pushing that bar a little bit further and further, trying something new, getting out of my comfort zone, experiencing new opportunities, and kind of living that exciting life.
Yeah, the 8,000 text about doing Everest Base Camp didn't give that away at all.
I know, right? So I think tonight we're going to kind of talk about some maybe more extreme backpacking destinations or more exotic backpacking destinations.
Exotic is a good word.
Exotic could be a great
Exotic
word.
is a good word because it's more about getting out of our own comfort level and how we might prepare or you might prepare for something that's like, because, you know, we've typically done a lot of East Coast backpacking and some of us have done a little bit of West Coast backpacking, but it's been concentrated to, you know, North America, definitely America. And, you know, what would it be like to get out of that and how would you need to prepare?
Yeah, right.
It's way different.
Yeah, I mean, not just like the travel logistics behind it, because we kind of talked about that on episode, a couple ago, just on flights and hotels and cars and all that stuff. You know, if you're going out of the country,
Planes, trains, automobiles.
you know that there's going to be some travel logistics that you have to figure out. But like, is there additional gear that you have to have? Are there additional permits you have to have? Like, kind of talking about some of that stuff.
Sounds
It's
a
an important
little
thing.
bit like a gear episode.
I don't think so.
Let's see
that
where
was the
let's
goal.
see where it takes us.
We'll
With this
see.
episode, you just veiled it so you could
I
talk about gear.
didn't even think of gear at all. But Brian will turn it into a gear
Yeah.
episode,
Right.
and then Alex will turn it into a poop episode. I'll turn it into a food episode. Brian will turn it into a bear bag episode. It's just, you know, we all have our own ways to pull this one way or another.
Gotta say, not where I thought this was going.
Welcome to the show, everybody.
Fife will figure out how to get the Lucy lamp in there because he did that the last episode too.
Toast.
We're 3
Bring
minutes in.
Bring
and
it.
really, we've just said all of our trigger words. We can just
Well, yeah. All right.
shut it down.
Good night, everybody.
I love that for you.
What
There's
else?
the last
What
one.
else do we need to say to make sure we get all the buzzwords?
Aerobi.
Swear jar. Circle meat.
Circle meat.
Circle meat.
Circle meet.
All right, let's move
Let's
on.
do this.
And that's it. We'll see you guys later. Hope everyone's having a great trip.
We hit
Please like and subscribe.
And we'll see you next time.
Whammo!
Anybody waiting for just callbacks is check it out.
You know, it's interesting actually. I was talking to my wife Kaylee about this episode a little bit today. And she reminded me of this podcast that she had me listen to. The person's podcast is Judy Holler, I think. She's like this keynote speaker. She's an author. She's like super preachy positivity and kind of inspirational and stuff like that. She's actually really good. And one of the episodes that she had me listen to, Judy had said something about if you want to have an epic or interesting story, you have to do interesting and epic things. And that kind of got me thinking, it's like, it can kind of sound a little corny, I guess, but she's right. Like, if you want to have an interesting story, you really have to have interesting experiences.
If you want people to perceive you as cool, you can't sit on your couch and eat Doritos every night.
Not even the
I don't know.
perception
That
of
sounds pretty cool to me.
Yeah.
Not even the
I know.
perception of
I know.
cool, but like just to be able to have something different. You know, have something, and I think that's kind of where this topic can kind of come into and play, because it's like, well, you get to go to cool places, you get to go do cool things, you've got cool stories to be able to tell, and I think that's part of what I love about backpacking, at least to be able to talk to people about some of the interesting experiences that you have, being able to experience different cultures, different people, different foods, and like I think that's what I'm really excited about talking about this topic for tonight was because it kind of takes us outside, or at least my destinations kind of took me outside of the U.S. a little bit, and experiencing way different things that we've experienced on the trail so far.
Yeah, and I like that because it's really easy for, especially like when we get down to it and we're looking for our next destination. We definitely have our limits. We have our places that we're gonna go. And to be honest, like I'm the kind of person that I feel like America is so diverse, whether it's a city or a backpacking destination or a national park or something like that. I feel like it's so diverse, so I don't feel like I have to go travel internationally because it's right here in my own technically backyard. Yeah. But there are so many wonderful places in the world that I would love to travel to and see, and finding cool backpacking spots outside of that is super fun.
And I think before we dig in and like start going, because I think this is going to sprawl,
this is
going to get out there, in terms of like geographically it's going to go. But I think even this year, when we're looking at our trip later on this year in the summer, when we're going to Strata Towers, is that even that, like, I've gotten to a point where when we're typically planning a trip and we're like, oh, where do we want to go? My brain immediately goes to, well, wherever we go, there's going to be trees, there's going to be streams, it's going to be green. Like I'm so used to that because I've been very regional in what I've done backpacking wise, that I'm really excited for Strata Towers because it's like
big rocks.
It's going to be, it's going to throw me way outside of what I've ever experienced in terms of backpacking or just being in the outdoors at all. And then even just conceptually thinking about like, oh, well, what if I were just to be like dropped in the Arctic or something? It's like it's not what I expect when I think of like backpacking because I'm so used to what we've done. So it's cool exercise, if nothing else, just to be like, what if I was all the way in the other part of the world?
Get you in a different headspace.
Yeah. So it's cool.
I can relate to what you'd said, Austin. It was probably a number of years ago, and it was a stubborn way to think, but I still believe it to a point. For the longest time, I feel like I knew a lot of people who were traveling to Europe and like going and doing these big kind of extravagant trips. And I think some of this was kind of like maybe a defense mechanism in some respect to like say like, I don't want to do that. But I do believe it is, I remember saying to my wife at the time, like, hey, look at our country and all of the things here that we've not done.
Yeah.
And I remember that, and I still like, I feel that way, and not that I would never go overseas, I would. But there are still things in this country, there are states I haven't been to, there are things I haven't seen that I know are just magnificent.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just so interesting, and I mean, I'm looking at lists online, for this episode, and I'm excited about other things, and there's so much out there.
I think
There's so much out there.
The thing for that, Alex, because I can see where you're coming from for sure. I was on the side of like, I kind of want to get outside of the U.S. and see stuff, and I think that was because when I was a little younger, it was easier to be able to do those kinds of trips because you're kidless.
You can just make the decision.
It's simpler. The logistics are just simpler. There's no responsibility. That kind of thing. It makes it easier. With doing a trip in the U.S., it might not be easy to plan, but it's more convenient.
Yeah. Convenience is certainly a piece of it.
Yeah.
And I just always, I think I used the Grand Canyon for the longest time, and now that I've been and now that I'm going back, it was one of those things where I think about all of the magnificent things that people write, books about, and tell stories about in our country, that I remember kind of feeling like, man, I've never seen this, I've never seen that, and then I felt kind of like, man, really? Like, what the? Why have I not seen this shit?
And is part of it like, the grass is always greener kind of thing? Because I mean, there's people that don't live in America that will look at America and it's like, oh, I gotta go see Niagara. Or I got to go see Yosemite. Or I got to go see... It's like...
Grand Canyon.
So, we're kind of like... Even though we've never seen it, it's easy to say like...
It's here.
Oh, but that's home. I can do that whenever. It's like...
I mean, I also think we take for granted that we we're so close to Cuyahoga Valley National Park.
Right.
I know I do. And I like this is one of my favorite parts of my life, right? And so I don't know, grass always greener. The grass is different,
Right.
And that's, I think, every time I hear that line, I always say that, because it's like, man, there's fucking grass here, there's grass there, it's all grass.
Bermuda or Kentucky blue.
And I agree, and I think, I saw the Canadian Rockies for the first time last year, and fucking my eyeballs popped out of my face. It's insane.
Insane.
And so, like, that's
blows your mind.
It's North America. That's a part of our, continent. And I think about that, and it's like, I don't need to get the hell out of this continent to go see magical shit.
Exotic might not be as far away as you think.
Yeah,
but
exotic is,
that's good. That's a good way to put it.
That's a good way to put it, for sure.
Yeah. I think for a lot of our group is going to
it's going to blow my socks off.
It is. And I think for some of us who haven't been out that way and hiked out there, it's completely different.
Yeah.
And seeing that shit, it's the Grand Canyon is a fucking hole in the ground, and it's I can't even describe it.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
A hole in the ground is like the biggest undersell.
I know. But it's also like us making fun of ourselves, saying like, "Oh, we're backpacking. We're just outside walking."
Yeah.
The moon, backpacks, sleeping on the ground.
The moon is just a rock in the sky.
Yeah. Great comparison. But yeah, it's so I think about those things. But,
so
the lists are cool, and I'm excited about hearing all of these things.
Yeah, and I haven't done much, and I don't have a list in front of me, but I'm curious to see, like, in the stuff you guys are seeing, how much of that stuff is actually in America. I'd imagine that there's at least some, like, everything that people consider amazing isn't somewhere else.
Sure,
I'd guess, but I'm curious. I don't have many specific spots. I've got kind of ideas of, like, if I were in a region, what I would need to think about. But what are places, I guess, that
or
jump out at you guys?
I would say,
yeah.
I'll start.
Yeah, go.
Because I have a place that I feel like is
moon.
The rock in the sky.
The rock in the sky. The rock in the sky and the hole in the ground.
Boom, roasted. Yeah.
Dang, that's what the moon is. It's what was in the
Swiss
Grand
cheese.
Canyon is just now in the sky.
They just gathered it all up.
It formed, and then somebody
Aliens.
threw it into the fucking sky.
It's all
like
aliens.
a snowball.
Pangea. I feel like this is like we're about to be the kind of podcast. This is like, let me blow your mind.
Can I blow your mind for a second?
Can I blow your mind for a second? Hey, Chris is walking out of the room because we've been fighting about this all week. No, I'm kidding. So, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know.
This
exactly
is really inside, weird, meme guy. Anyways,
all right.
When I was thinking of places that maybe I would want to go and I know would be much different than how we prepare for our backpacking places, one of the spots was in Patagonia.
Ooh,
in the O circuit, which is kind of like the main place where you can hit, like, it's basically 60 miles where it's circuit, it's kind of like a 60-mile circuit where you can hit a lot of the spots. It's like a 7 to 8 day backpacking trip. And it's pretty intense. There's so much. There's valleys, there's rivers, there's mountains, there's jagged edges. It's pretty intense. And you hit a lot of different stuff. You could have snow, you can have heat, you can have rain. And to me, that felt pretty extreme because it wasn't as extreme as like, Antarctica or climbing Everest, but it was enough backpacking where I thought like, this is pretty crazy. And some of the stuff that Patagonia has to offer that's like really difficult is a lot of the variable weather
for sure
and the strong winds. Because like we can last episode we were talking at campsites and we were like, the wind on the ridge was loud. Well, the wind in Patagonia can let you blow away like a leaf. It's like it can get crazy strong. So you really have to prepare, especially like we're going to talk about gear a little bit, but definitely like a tent that can withstand that kind of stuff.
Four-season tent.
A for sure. Yeah, it's pretty extreme.
And what's funny, like we were joking about the wind, when we were at Linville and in places like that. But we went to the Whites. Like we experienced a little bit of that. But there's places, like I even think of the Whites where
we were in Marcy, on the top of Marcy, and it was almost blowing us off.
Right. So at
that's
Adirondacks.
true. Yeah.
But when we were in the Whites, like if it had happened to be like a day where it was one of those sort of record days, and even at the Whites, and that's close to us.
Yeah.
Would we have been prepared for that?
Not a record day.
Because there was, we had winds, but what was I don't know what the top is there or what it is in Patagonia, but if you're really facing like really serious
the winds we had, I think they peaked out at
70 something.
70
I think it was 70.
Yeah, when we were up there.
The wind chill was 25 degrees.
Yeah.
Record days are.
It's a lot.
That was
a lot of wind.
That was
Like
in
close to 200 or
August.
something.
Well, okay, but
In
also
August.
the record day, and again, I don't remember exactly what the number of the year was, but the record number was like it's so extreme.
It was like
and
250
It was,
something
and that
miles
was
an
like
hour.
80 years ago.
Yeah.
And not saying that it doesn't get close to that now, but like also it's probably snowed out at that point, and we would never be able to get up there.
But
at
I'm
that point.
I'm just saying
yes.
like that when you say Patagonian, it's
Yeah.
like if normal wind there is what we consider extreme here. It's like
Yeah.
that's a big factor to deal with.
Big
Like,
factor
you know.
for sure. That's something that you definitely have to think about when you're preparing for an extreme trip like that. Another factor, and this is probably with multiple trips around, but like definitely in this area, is the wildlife encounters are much different. Because it's pretty diverse over there. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can come into contact with, like condors, and I mean, there's foxes and stuff like that. But like, they have pumas.
Oh yeah, that's
Straight
right.
up pumas.
Yeah.
That yeah, dude. It's like they
Jungle
have pumas
cats.
that you might be run into, and which is pretty freaky. So there's a lot of like approaches you have to take. Like we have to deal with bears and bear bags out there. You have to deal with a straight up wildcat.
Right, cats.
You know?
a puma line.
Right.
Something Pfeiffer would probably get really good at.
A puma, yeah, a puma bag.
line.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
Bag.
could keep.
Hey, go hang the puma bag.
The puma bag.
Hey, Snorlax, get over here. Hang the puma bag.
God, why is he like-
God, the Snorlax
Hey,
stuff. I'm not gonna say.
puma bag.
Yeah, Pumbaa.
So, but you, when you describe that tree, I mean, even just like the 6 or 7 day, I think you said it was, but even that in and of itself, I've talked about that on other episodes, and when we've talked about trips, it's like I'd love to be out for a week because we've always
Right.
peaked at kind of like 3 nights,
Yeah.
but
You're going to get pretty close this summer, buddy.
right. So that
Yeah.
in and of itself, though, is like that's a different level, right? If you're going out for a full 6 or 7 nights as opposed to what we're used to,
Yeah.
no matter where you are, that is a I don't know if I'd call it exotic, but that's an extreme versus what the typical backpacker.
Yeah,
I've
well,
got
for,
one-
for what we've done, right? I
Right,
mean,
yeah.
in comparison, it does make it different. So
Yeah.
I agree.
I've got one. Speaking of how many, the duration of the trip.
Oh boy, it's gonna be like 3 months or something.
One of the ones that I have on my list is I would love to try this.
Is it in your binder?
No, this one's not in my binder because you know what?
Yet.
We did talk about
Binder.
kind of we talked about bucket list trips and stuff
Yeah,
like
Brian's
that.
I forgot. Yeah,
Captain
yeah.
Insano's
I had a
book
binder.
of magical trips.
We talked about wanting to do. I talked about wanting to do Everest Base Camp Trek. I've
Yeah,
talked about
yeah.
wanting to do, which is like a 15-day trek.
I'm sure Rainier's in there.
Rainier was in
Yeah.
there, which I'm doing
Yep.
in June. Another one that was in there was Kilimanjaro, right? So I've talked about those before, but one that I haven't talked about that I've been getting a little bit more and more obsessed with is Denali.
Oh baby.
Not just going to visit, but also to climb. And so that pulls a whole bag of other stuff, obviously, that you have to do. It's not a backpacking trip per se. It's more of a mountaineering trip. The first few days are kind of backpacking, but they're backpacking with a backpack on your back and then also a sled that you're pulling that has like 100 pounds of weight in your sled
For
too.
all the stuff that you need for
Yeah.
the climb.
So
yeah.
we were talking about duration of the trip. So obviously, if I go and do something like this, it's Denali West Buttress expedition. I would do a guide company. I'm climbing Mount Rainier with RMI guides. RMI also does a Denali climb. It's a 21-day excursion.
Good God.
It is a long. That's a long time to be out.
Yeah, dude.
Right.
I'm really excited to hear about this
I love
story
this
from
for
you.
So that's kind of been
I'm really excited to hear your wife's perspective.
Yeah.
right.
This is the first time she's hearing
This is the first time
yeah.
Kaylee's hearing about it, I think. No, I've got to talk to her about it before once or twice.
And she said, "Yeah, cool idea."
Yeah.
No, I don't
Add it
think
to the
so.
list.
It wasn't that. Add it to the list. It could have been something sarcastic like that. Babe, I love you.
From the binder, isn't it?
But there's a lot that goes into that. I mean, it's I think one of the reasons why I want to also do that is I have this like romantic idea of hitting all of the 50 states' high points, right? And we've actually hit some of them already. Just doing some of our backpacking trips, like Mount Washington.
You stand on a ladder in Florida and you're there.
You know what? I think that might be one of the lowest ones.
A ladder, yeah. Bro, you just need a stool.
Just a stool, yeah. But
you give Florida too much credit, here, buddy.
But to complete that
ladder.
50 list, you would have to do Denali.
Yeah.
So that's when that kind of obsession started.
I mean, that is the highest in North America, right?
It is the highest in North America. Yeah. So that's kind of one of the extreme ones that I've wanted to do.
So real quick, you talk about 21 days excursion. Just because I'm unfamiliar with it.
What does that entail?
Well, so yeah, is there somewhere in there where it's like you're restocking anywhere, or are you like
no?
Is
so
it acclimation? Yeah.
So you do have acclimatization in periods where you climb up and then you sleep down. So it's not 21 days to like go from base camp all the way up to the mountain. Right. So like you have a couple days where you just get there in Alaska. I can't remember where you end up starting from. When you get there, but you get there, you have your team meetings, you have prep meetings and stuff like that. Because
sounds kind of like a job.
It's intense. I mean, it's not like it's not like your everyday thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, 21 days. That's a long time. Yeah,
but you end up getting on a plane that lands on the glacier in Alaska near Denali, and all your supplies are there. So that's why you have to sled in everything. You have your whole team sleds in food. Your whole team sleds in the tents and stuff, and there's a lot that goes into it. But it's not 21 days going up. There's a lot of prep time in between. But you have acclimatization days and stuff like that where you go up to 14,000 feet and then you come back down and you sleep low. Then you go to 17,000 feet and you come back down to 14,000 feet. So there's a lot of back and forth and stuff like that, and then day to get back. So it kind of includes travel days and stuff like that too. Sure. But it would definitely be a trip that is way out of comfort zone, way off the radar. Would be incredible experiences. Would definitely require some additional gear. Even the stuff that I have for Rainier wouldn't be suitable for that kind of thing. Like I have mountaineering boots for Rainier.
Right. You're just looking at another REI dividend, baby.
I guess so. Yeah. But you would need different kinds of boots because they have to be double booted. And there's a lot of stuff that goes different duffel bags and stuff like that you'd have to grab.
I've been to Denali, and I've had the salmon bites and mac and cheese, and
that was it for you. You're good. You got it.
I was also like 15.
Yeah.
So.
It sounds an awful lot like, Brian, the trips you want to do just are like gear grabs.
No, not necessarily. I would say, if anything, they're more of a way out of comfort zone kind of thing, and definitely an experience.
So what's funny is
they require a lot of additional things for sure.
Oh, and the prep work is entirely different.
Like if you were to tell me like, hey, you have an opportunity to go out for 21 days, and just be outside, and like how would you design that? And that's a great
question, Brian.
That's another podcast. No,
that's an episode. Honestly, that's a great idea.
But you with Denali, it's like, for me, that would be like, I'm going to choose a section of the AT, or I'm just going to go out and I'm going to do a little soft shelter, kind of bushcraft something together. I'm just going to live out there for 3 weeks. I'll just stay in a spot, and just be there and go explore. And I'd be probably more happy with that than saying I summited this,
climb a mountain.
But I mean, that's f***ing cool, obviously, and I love climbing. But I don't know. There's just, when I think of backpacking, it's like and time out.
For sure.
I just it's
my
it's
other
different.
one is a backpacking trip and not like a mountaineering kind of extreme.
I'm
type
not
of thing
down in that at all.
We were just talking about getting out of comfort zones.
Real quick,
definitely do it.
I was just thinking Chat GPT, and I just I just piped something in here real quick, and I just wanted to see what it said, and I said, what are some extreme backpacking destinations? Because I was just like, let's just give it a quick little search and see what comes up. And there's like places on here like Russia and like the Patagonian ice caps and certain a hike in Argentina or Antarctica. But the number one was Denali.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is it really?
It's just so vast.
Yeah.
So there's so many things
There's
that you do up
tons of
there.
stuff
Yeah,
out
it's
there.
great. I mean, honestly, like I think that again, we kind of talked a little bit about the America portion of like
that's in America.
It is, and it's
but it's not as popular as other. I mean,
right.
It's also just out there. Right?
I don't listen. I might be
it's-
pulling
yeah.
this number out of my ass, but the land mass of that is like 40% of the lower 48, like, or at least 35% of the lower 48. It's massive.
Yeah, it's huge.
You know, everything's bigger in Alaska, not Texas. So it is pretty incredible. It's pretty awesome.
So
That's what, like, just the size of it too. That's one thing that excites me. It's whether it's a mountain or what. Like, you just plop me anywhere.
yeah,
In that just open nothingness. That is so extreme to me. Is just
just being it anywhere.
You're just live out there for a day.
I'm really excited about that idea, Pfeiffer, and I'm in your camp, right? And I think I've decided in probably the last year where I think I know where my line is, and my line and. Brian, this is going to hurt your feelings a little bit because it means that they're like
I've already accepted the fact that nobody's going on these trips with me.
I won't go on this trip with you, and it's not because it's not for lack of desire. It's a combination of things. When the word mountaineering comes into play, that I think is where I draw my line, and it's not for lack of interest or the fact that I don't think it's cool. I just think it is so extreme and so outside of my comfort zone and leaves so many variables that that's a level of comfort that at my age with my family, I'm just unwilling to take.
Yeah.
And so, Pfeiffer, when you say, if you had 21 days, where would you go? That I am going that
all right, let's go into that.
That question is going to keep me up at night. I'm not kidding. And
21 days, because 21 days is interesting. It's kind of the perfect. It's not as short as like a week-long vacation, but it's not necessarily something that like you're really establishing too much.
It's not the AT. You're going out for like, months and months.
It's
and
an
months.
interesting time frame.
It is. I didn't intend to do that, but I'm glad this started some things. I'm glad you mentioned Denali.
I don't even know where to answer it.
Well, and what's really cool is like that time frame is enough to like your Denali's a accomplishment.
Yeah,
like, and it would take all of that
hard.
time to like say I did this thing,
That's
and
hard.
that is something that very, very few people get to say.
So let me put this in context. Okay, we talked about this a little bit before. I remember having the conversation, and this. So you say Denali. The one that I was going to say was Gates of the Arctic.
Yeah.
And I have the two numbers up now. So how many acres do you think that both of those parks are? Gates of the Arctic is the least visited national park in the United States.
Right. It's massive.
Well,
it's
because
like,
it's massive
millions,
and it's very remote.
Right? It's millions.
And so they're both in Alaska. So which one, how many?
Wait, what are we asking? The total of both?
Total acres of each. I'm just saying.
Gates
so
of the Arctic
that's,
and
Denali.
And Denali.
That's
Oh,
two
geez.
national parks, and they each are so many acres that it's absolutely fucking ridiculous.
I wouldn't even be able to venture a guess. I got
so
nothing.
Denali is 6.1 million acres.
Damn.
That's insane.
That's
so big.
that's like
The
unfathomable.
fact that there's one park that's that big,
Right.
is outrageous.
Yeah.
But what makes it even more insane?
Is it 2 million?
What?
What?
What Gates of the Arctic?
No,
It's
no,
more.
it's
Is it
not.
bigger?
It's probably
more
bigger.
than Denali. What,
So
like 10?
Okay, so
Denali is
6.
6.1.
Oh, 6.1 you said. I'm sorry.
For
Gates of the
Denali.
Arctic.
Gates
That's
of the
Denali.
Arctic is 8.5.
8.5.
million.
That's wild.
dude.
So just to have one park
Yeah.
that's that big in your country is
Yeah.
insane. We have two in the same motherfucking state. And so like that's
Yeah.
just puzzling to me.
Right.
And so you talk about exotic. I don't
Yeah.
even like you talk about preparing like dude,
Yes.
a fucking gun like dude, there's fucking all sorts of shit
Yeah.
out there. I mean, watch any of those like shows, and that's why they're not visited, right? I talked about it a little like briefly, but we listened to this podcast that talked about, the how limited number of people go there. So like there's no trails. There's no like, hey,
no one's mapped it out.
Dude, it's the Wild West, man.
Yeah, right.
No one's telling you where to go here and do this trail, this loop, see this. There's landmarks, right? And like things you should see, but
Last Frontier, man.
8.5 million acres, man. It's a playground. Go do whatever you want to do, and then like go prepared, right? Because there's no
awesome
town. There's
too, man.
There's towns with like 6 people.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
I just watched like a YouTube episode of someone that was like traveling to a town in Alaska that was like on the edge of the gates, I think, and it was like population of like 20 people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
dude.
I think the youngest person was in their like late 30s or early 40s. That was the youngest person that was in that town. So like they didn't have a school.
Pretty soon.
They didn't have
It's going to be population 0. I mean, in enough
crazy,
time,
dude.
you think it's going to come?
Crazy.
He's going to stay to be the last one.
Some of those areas will,
there.
man.
Yeah,
Sure,
sure.
people stay there.
I mean, and that's the last
it's
sort of
family
like
legacy, though.
Right,
I mean, that's
right.
what that is.
That's
And
yeah.
that's the last
a lot
sort
of inbreeding.
Last sort of
I'm
bastion.
so sorry.
Stop.
No, that's offensive. That's offensive.
terrible.
I'm sorry. That's offensive to those people living there. That's not fair.
I was gonna say something somewhat nicer,
Well-
and it's the last sort of bastion of that kind of like tribal aspect
It
of
is.
humanity.
Yeah,
It's like
it's-
there's people
yeah,
out
there's-
there that are just 20 people in the woods
Right.
that live, and nobody knows that they're there, but they are.
It's not the woods.
You
There's
know.
there's a small town.
bringing it back to like a little bit of like how you prepare for a trip like that. One thing you have to remember when you do something like that in Alaska is that it's sunny all the time.
Some parts of the year, and then some parts of the year.
Dude,
it's
never
But
sunny.
you're not going
completely
there.
dark.
You're not going there in the winter.
Oh, no.
You're going
Right.
there anywhere. This is my assumption. I did not research this. I'm assuming that you plan your visit to go see
to have light
to Gates of the Arctic
Yeah.
between like probably at least May to August.
I can tell you the 2 trips for Denali. If I wanted to go with, I would go with a guide company for sure.
Yeah, because none of your friends are going.
Well, also, I think that's just a death ticket if you're trying to go do it solo.
That sounds horrifying.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Definitely not. The
Scary enough being on flat ground in the middle of nowhere. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
let's add a couple dozen thousand feet.
Yeah, and brutal cold.
Yeah.
So there's 2 trips that I could take this year if I wanted to sign up this year, May 7th or May 14th. So there are 2 groups going at the same time in May.
Yeah.
So May is the only time that they actually offer to go do a summit bid for Denali.
Yeah. It's that makes sense
Yeah.
because your window is small
Yeah.
for
Right.
not only the weather, but that's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, when it comes to Alaska, like during the summer times, because I remember being there during the summer times, and it was like I remember being like pretty late, like 9, 10 at night, and
Yeah.
it looked like it was like
isn't it kind of
dusk.
hazy? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like dusk and hazy. Like it doesn't get dark. And
Yeah.
every like place that we stayed, like whether it was like a hotel mostly cabins or like people's houses and stuff like that, blackout curtains. Like
Right.
hardcore blackout
Actually,
curtains.
the other place I have on my list gets like that too.
Bring it on, baby.
There's some about the like because when
Let's hear it.
I didn't think of specific like places or summits or whatever, but my brain instantly went to like the Arctic kind of
Yeah.
It's
region.
Just, I think it's
And there's
so unknown.
Right. There's something
That's what's so exciting about it,
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
because it is so unknown. It's like there is so many possibilities.
right.
I
And
agree,
the
man.
I mean, you talked about it. We already hit it, but like the vastness of it is it's the
It's magical, man.
I can't even wrap my brain around how big that is.
Yeah. Well,
Same.
and I think that's
It's like
also,
saying $1 trillion.
it's
like,
also
I have
really
no way
good
of measuring.
Yeah,
that.
there's no
Right.
way.
You know,
It's it's just a rock in the sky. You know, like you have no idea how to conceptualize it.
So in comparison,
real
just-
quick though, I think a reason why it's attractive too is because it's so vast and you can go anywhere. When we decided this was going to be our topic, when I was doing research, I was kind of like my brain went to like deep jungle rainforest.
Really?
But in my
Hang out with Rafiki on the
in my research, I found that it's actually
Look harder.
it's kind of like all trailblazing. Oh my god, it's kind of like all trailblazing because it's so dense,
Right.
that you can't establish any type of trail.
Right.
There's no like, oh, come to Brazil and see this Amazon rainforest trail that's famous like this. No, because the second you try to like trailblaze it and try to like make something, it just grows back.
I was gonna say,
So there's like none of that.
It just grows in behind you.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
the number one piece of gear you have to bring for that is a machete.
Yeah, well,
a
and like
samurai sword.
so there's a this is we'll
You know why I wouldn't do that? There's one
you'll
word.
die.
No,
Bugs.
one word.
Bugs.
Snakes.
Okay,
Bugs.
so yeah,
100%
definitely.
bugs.
So
Snakes.
I'm just gonna talk about this for 30 seconds, and then we can move on and talk more
Animals.
about like the wilderness. But I read this book called The Lost City of Z. It's really incredible, and it kind of it's a 3-part story where it talks about like these treasure hunters, and one of them's like back in like the early 1900s.
I love treasure
One of them's
hunting.
kind of like in the like
this is
the
great.
I might be mistaking this, but like in the 90s, and one is the guy who's writing the book researching these stories. And the stories from like the 1900s, it's like this, like there was this time of like these explorers with like the safari hats and the monocles,
Love
and
it.
the
Yeah.
mustaches,
Hell
and
yeah.
the elephant gun,
Hell
and,
yeah.
you know, and like that was like a time where these guys were like famous and they were going out and exploring
The
new
man's
worlds.
man.
Yeah. And there was this rush for like this lost city of Z, which is supposed to be like this golden city and like all these
fucking Atlantis,
treasures.
yeah.
Always a golden city.
Exactly,
Always.
right? So it kind of talks about this guy trying to find it. And some of these excursions, because this guy went on a
Yeah.
lot of them, which is rare because most of the time people fucking died.
Just died.
Like literally like never came back,
Yeah.
not a trace of them,
Right.
right? And some of the
Gonzo.
ways this guy would literally recruit like dozens of people to go with him, and most people would die.
Right.
Dude, it's
And he
like-
would
I
come
mean-
back and he would recruit more people, and they go by and they would die because they would move like feet a day.
Right.
Because of how dense it was. So yeah,
Jeez.
we're not backpacking us out there. Or at least like in the jungle.
Think
So-
about the gold rush, dude. People just like threw everything.
Everything.
They all went, man. It's
Yeah.
nuts. Those like historical moments are.
And I know it keeps
bizarre
bringing
to
us
me.
back to
I
the
love
same
that era
thing.
of time. It's
Yeah.
just so wild.
It keeps bringing us back to the same thing, but think of just America in general, but that whole like frontier aspect. Like
nuts.
we're going to go in that direction. No one's ever been there. There could be people, no clue. Like it's absolute pure. Do not know what the hell is going to happen.
There's
And
something about the late 1800s, early 1900s, especially in like the West in America, that interests me so much because it's kind of this weird meeting of like old traditions and new technology, but also like the vastness of the Wild West and lawlessness.
Yeah.
That I just absolutely love. I love
It's like blissful
fiction
discovery,
and
too.
true
Yeah.
stories from like that era.
Dude,
It's crazy.
So when you were describing like having to cut through the jungle and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
so I literally just watched. It was maybe last month. I think it's pronounced The Last Tempui.
yeah, I watched this.
Did you watch
Yeah,
it with
it's
Alex
really good.
Honnold
Yeah.
and like
Super
Renan?
good.
Renan was one of the directors and stuff like that. So they go deep in the Amazon jungle.
Yeah.
and it is absolutely bonkers. And talking about how you move feet
Yes.
in an hour, that's what these guys had to do.
Yes.
And they're like going through and trying to find like I think they were trying to find different species of animals and a
Right.
couple other things too.
I'm
The guy
watching
was
this.
a
Dude,
science.
Are you kidding me?
It is so.
We're watching
dude,
the trailer right now. I'm
Right.
watching this.
It is
That looks cool.
fucking awesome.
Is this
I
a
highly
movie?
recommend it. It's
It
a
is.
documentary. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
on
is it? Okay.
Disney Plus.
It's super good.
Game over.
It's so.
I'm gonna
good.
get home tonight at like midnight.
And you're gonna watch it. It's only 55 minutes. This is a short one.
Yeah, it's really
Cool.
cool. And but yeah, he's trying to find whatever region this in, like the number of species and just the not even just in terms of geography,
Right.
But then like just wildlife in those
Yeah.
areas is so
Dude, this is blowing my mind right now.
bonkers.
Yeah.
Like there's so many different types of things that just live, and I mean it makes sense. It's that sort of equatorial area where it's just life
dense.
just blossoms.
I think so
like, there's
dense.
nothing
what-
to stop it. It's
what
just
I'm
gonna go.
realizing is like all the trails we've done are pretty
Kindergarten.
I roll. Yeah. No, I mean I say it.
But
I
hey,
say it
no.
jokingly,
But
right?
hey, that's our level of like that's what we enjoy.
Right.
It's
Dude,
also like
that's
the
what we
level
have
of
access
like
to.
you talk about
Right.
21 days. I don't want to go. I don't want to go
Well,
to
and look at-
Last Tepui.
these guys
I
are
don't
straight up
go there.
I mean, these
I
guys
don't want to do that shit.
These guys also do it for a living,
Right.
and it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
They're explorers.
They're
it's
explorers.
cool, man. And
I
that's
think-
like the modern age. That's
Yeah.
the modern explorer today.
Right,
Yeah.
and I think
2024.
and that's what like we get little even with what we do and in the region that we do it, and that's why I'm so excited for this summer when we go to Wyoming, is that we get little tastes of that, even though we know it's a trail people have been on. Like we know
Yeah,
it's
there's
not truly
some
unexplored,
safeness to
but
it.
for us, we get that little bit of taste of
it's way
like,
different
Oh, I'm
than we're
seeing
used to.
something. You know, we're sort of hitting that frontier thing. But when we think extreme, and I think my brain immediately goes to Arctic, but even like what we saw with
The
Last
Amazon.
Tepui and the Amazon, all that, it's like it's just that. Way back in early episodes, we talked about something similar, and I said I'm the Google guy. Drop me somewhere on the map and just let me go.
Yeah, I'm good with
like
that.
Google Man
that's the
makes
most
another appearance.
extreme.
You do like the
thing
Google
to me.
Man. I
So,
think it's a great.
it's just a
compa-
cool
it's a great.
concept,
It's
you
a
know.
great idea. Yeah.
Fife, I think you would really like the one that I kind of found today. That was on that list of 25 top places that you found, Alex. It's in Iceland.
Oh, dude, I want to go to Iceland so bad.
So it's so weird. I've had two different people that have gone to Iceland in the like last 6 months, and they come back and said it was one of the coolest places they have ever been, period. And they said both of them went on hikes every single day and said, they came back and they go, Brian, we know you like hiking. You have to go here. It was some of the best hiking, period. It was extraordinary.
I'm immediately in.
And so as I was kind of going through and finding some of these places, the trail is called, I'm going to butcher this, dude. 'Cause I like had to like go on YouTube and like see how other people were pronouncing it. I think it's called Laga Verga Skullgard Trail.
Scary.
And
Scary.
so it's a 50-mile point to point. It's about 11,500 feet of elevation gain.
That's it, man.
There's huts that you can reserve along the way. They book up super fast, so you have to do it months ahead of time. They're about a $60 a night fee if you do the hut. You can also camp near the hut if you wanted to do tent, which is like $18 a night. But when I was looking through, they have like an All Trails map of this. It's like you're in another world, dude. And I'm gonna pull it up for us to look at right quick, dude. It literally looks like you're in another fucking planet. And I'll put a link in the description so people can go through and see it, because like there's like 30 waterfalls along this trail and stuff like that. Like it is
And where is this
epic
again?
in Iceland.
Iceland. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like
It is
man.
epic.
Dang, man,
This
we got
is-
direct flights from Cleveland too.
This is
I think we actually do.
we do
do,
100%.
This is hitting the feels in some way, because like the Earth is so fucking big.
All right. Let me kick my feet up.
Earth is
Here we
so
go.
fucking big.
It's amazing, and if you don't sit back and like just think about that every once in a while, it's insane.
Puzzling.
Even just our country, we were talking about, like within our own region, it's
Oh my
amazing,
God.
and you would never be able to see everything,
Looks like-
even within
like
your own.
something out of AI, man. Like, this shit's
oh,
not real.
It looks
man.
insane, man.
It looks wild.
It's
So,
nuts.
am I the only? I'm definitely not the only one. But have you guys heard of the whole Iceland, Greenland naming scheme?
Yeah.
Okay, so like, I think
Yeah,
that
man,
like,
haven't you seen the Mighty Ducks?
I think it's.
that's how I know it.
Ducks?
That's how I know it. Yeah.
yeah.
Tell me the Mighty Ducks thing, because like I always thought it was like
Iceland is green and Greenland is ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like the whole idea was I thought was I don't know, it was I don't know my fucking Norse history, but you know the Vikings.
it's all Vikings.
Well, the
Yeah.
the Vikings like they named they named Greenland it because they wanted people to go there, but it was actually ice.
It's made
and
of
they named
ice, yeah.
Iceland
So
because
no one
they
would
didn't
go
want
there.
people to go there,
Yeah.
so they
Because
can
it's
keep
actually
that
green.
land because it's green. And it's probably way deeper and not accurate.
They were just
but
punking
You
people.
guys have heard that before, right?
Yeah. It's the
I'm not crazy.
Yeah,
It's the
no.
biggest
No.
punk
The biggest punk in history.
Biggest punk.
So This
It's kind of like Kansas City's not in Kansas.
Look, yeah, it's so fucking weird.
It's close.
The world is so fucking big.
There's a bug flying around the studio right now that is. Oh, you got it! Damn,
No,
dude,
it's a big one too.
Hold on, this is extreme.
It's the biggest fly I've ever seen.
That is massive.
I just said I wasn't going to the jungle because of bugs, and here we go in the
Whammo.
studio.
So it's funny because like on this list, there's a few things that have always kind of it piqued my interest.
The
And that-
listeners are going to be fucking so confused. We're like talking about flies flying around.
bugs.
There's a big ass fly that just flew around. So
Was.
that's what we were dealing with.
Was past tense.
Yeah,
I think
it's dead.
So we talk about
Yeah, it's dead.
things being
Leave no trace.
exotic and prep changing. So there are plenty of like I would love to say, oh, the Dolomites, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
Swiss Alps, like those fucking trips, man. I get it. Like I've seen, shit in Scotland looks cool. I want to do all that, and those are like hiking and backpacking trips. I'm into that. The thing that when we started talking about, and I touched base on this a little bit during, what was it called?
Bucket list trip.
But thank you. But the thing that kind of stood out to me, and I kind of had some experience with this last year on our road trip on our way home because we were going to stop somewhere. And I'm more fascinated with the idea of, for example, of course now it's escaping me, but like the Boundary Waters.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
Allison and I tried to stay in the Boundary Waters in Voyageurs National Park. And the difficulty was every campground was accessible by boat.
Right.
And so the idea
Oh wait, only accessible by boat or
only accessible by boat.
Interesting.
So
my.
I'm intrigued by that idea from a prep standpoint. And also I've always been fascinated. My dad's friend years ago made mention of a trip he made as a kid that he did a float plane into a lake
That'd be great.
up in Canada. And that to me, I think that's like bucket list of my life.
You would
This
love
is-
to float plane
Into a lake, fly into a lake. Yeah.
So
sounds awesome.
Kaylee's done that before. Not
This is,
not for a backpacking trip, but she was in Vancouver and did a flight like that.
Yeah,
Took off
dude.
in the water and landed in the water.
insane. It's magical.
That's
Yeah.
and
Small
this
little
is
boat,
this
dude.
is not
Or
backpacking,
little
but it just opened up this part of my brain. But yeah, like even I've seen. I don't know if it's becoming more popular or if it's just the algorithms sending me shit. But
The internet.
of just like living out on water and just sailing for weeks and months on end.
Dude, I
cool.
follow
Like-
a family that does that too. Yeah, sailing
Like,
the
that
vagabonds.
is-
They're freaking amazing.
I don't
It
know
sounds
anything
so
about
awesome.
sailing, but that sounds wild.
That sounds like a
extreme.
little too much water
Well, see,
for me.
That
but
seems a little too constricted, unless you're making stops.
No, they're going from
pretty
island to island.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
That
Yeah.
helps.
Yeah.
That helps.
But
Unless they do, they've done Atlantic crossings and stuff like that too, which is like hard.
Yeah, I would
Hard.
imagine.
Yeah.
I don't
Like
know, man.
it's literally nothing.
You ever see them? You see those internet videos of fucking big boats taking on water? Yeah. dude.
Oh yeah, yeah. The ship liners and stuff like that, and like,
Oh,
yo,
my
see
dude,
those? See those big
Yeah.
swells that they dip in and out of? man?
baby.
I was like, I'm checked out. I'm out.
But you put me in a little canoe with my backpack and all my shit.
On a
And
still
I
lake.
gotta fucking
And just-
drag that canoe through
So-
some shit
so
from
that's
time to time.
and just
That's
head
why
down
pack
river for a bit.
That's why pack rafting is so
Yeah, I'm
interesting
into
to
that
me.
too.
I would love to try
Yeah,
pack
that would be
rafting.
cool.
Yeah, that would be.
I'm getting so excited right now.
Yeah,
It's insane.
I knew
that,
this episode would do
that
this.
to me is when I thought about it, it came back to like accessibility too, right? Granted, it's a different logistic trip, and it requires a little bit more planning,
Right.
but it's not a mountain. It's not
But, like,
something outrageous, but it is hard. It'd be hard. It'd be different.
If part of your trip is floating down a river for like a day, and
I'm
like,
down, yeah.
oh my god,
Hey, you talk about 21 days. You mean I
Yeah.
could have an awesome campground?
I'm surprised.
Also have a boat.
Hold
like,
on,
dude,
real
yeah.
quick.
Let's go.
This is funny because I just thought of this. Out of the four of us, where we live, what we have near us, what we're into, I'm surprised the four of us, none of us own a kayak,
yeah, me too.
and to
I've
have
never,
done like Cuyahoga River or anything like that.
Yeah,
And
it's
which is-
interesting. It's a
it is-
fair point.
That's really a fair point because
might
with
change.
that,
Of course.
Brian will be the
I
first.
just I just
It
lit
is a gear episode.
Hey,
Shutting.
not because of me, because of my wife.
That's
she
right.
Just,
That's
she
right.
just did this like kayak excursion thing in the pool over at our local pool where they teach you how to flip over after you flip.
What? You got a room up in your garage with those.
Wait, hold on. She's learning how to flip a canoe.
She did learn how to flip a
No,
kayak.
how often is she in a canoe?
Well, she's taken on a couple other roles and stuff like that, but we'll maybe let her talk about that someday.
Okay.
But
more to come. Little teaser.
She's been wanting to get more into kind of this adventure life thing as well.
Gotcha.
And she wants to talk the talk. So
gotcha.
She had the opportunity
reason
to
didn't
do a
know
class.
that was a thing, so I didn't realize that canoe flipping was a skill that she needed in her life. So that's why I was like curious. Kayak flipping. Sorry, yeah.
Because
Either way,
you're tied into that thing. If you flip over, you got to be able to flip back.
Or escape and get out.
I have a funny story.
I've flipped a kayak before.
Oh, I have a funny story.
And it's hard.
Dude, I know.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's scary.
My bachelor party, we did like cabrewing. So
which was awesome.
Yeah.
We, you get canoes and you get cases of beer and you just float down a lazy river and it's fun. But me and the best man decided to get kayaks. Mistake.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, it's absolutely a mistake.
It was fun, but like the mistake was that the water was really low at this time, and I ground into the like shore so many times, and I'm like struggling. It should have been me and Brad should have been just
and
chugging away.
Talking about Air Force.
The only time
Air Force.
Anytime I've gotten in a kayak, it's regardless of the reason, or it's definitely not a relaxing piece of equipment.
Yeah, it's more work than you think.
It is. It brutalizes your upper body.
Well, here's the other thing.
Here's
the other thing. This is so funny. So then, like 5 years ago, after this, because I had that experience, and I was like, oh, anytime I do this, I'm getting a canoe again. I went cabrewing at another bachelor party. I only knew the groom. I didn't know anybody else.
And
I was like, I'm getting a canoe.
Yeah,
I was like, I've been and done this before. Everybody else got kayaks except for me and this random dude got a canoe. And he was fine.
Yeah.
But like everybody's just doing their solo thing in their kayak. The water's real high. They're like they're doing
makes
great
a
stuff. And I'm
difference
like,
when the water's flowing
you're
because
stuck
then
in a
you
canoe
can
with this dude I don't know. And honestly, when you're in a canoe with somebody else, the chemistry is big. And I didn't have any chemistry with this dude. Like it was just so fun. I was just like, of course.
It kind of sounds like you've got a. It's kind of like your boot situation. Like you didn't learn the first time.
I need to find the happy medium.
You know what?
I need to do a canoe by myself.
Yeah.
No, that's
it's like
bad.
someone saying, I remember hearing people say, oh, I'll try something twice. And you're a try something twice kind of guy.
I think
that's cool.
I'm going to try
that's
something
cool.
twice.
That's a good attitude to have.
Even if it sucks the first time, like you got to try it again.
Yeah.
Because
especially stuff like that.
What are the variables that made it suck?
There's
right?
so many factors that could be like, this is normally awesome, but man,
other people like this.
Really
could this
unlucky.
not suck?
Yeah.
I
wouldn't try boots twice. But
but he didn't do the same pair.
Yeah, I didn't do the same pair. No, but honestly, like I do, like when I have a pair of running shoes and I'm not really digging it, I'm like, I got to give it another chance. And sometimes it works out, and sometimes it's like, nope, I was this thing the pair are done.
That's
no, thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, the only like with the water, like you mentioned, it's weird that none of us are into kayaking, which I agree because the access we have,
paddleboarding, right?
Right.
Like, yeah.
But
paddleboarding's cool.
and it's weird. The only time
paddleboarding is cool.
Paddleboarding's fun. Yeah. Don't do it in Jamaica when the winds are high, though.
It's hard to get back in.
Yeah,
wobbly.
Yeah, it's, you end up like a mile down the beach, and you're like, "What happened?"
But take the Hobie cat out. That's a different story.
Yes, you want wind for that.
You want to do that.
But like even I've traveled to go do water stuff in other states, like whitewater rafting in the New River or something. It's like we have it. We can not whitewater rafting right here, but we could kayak here easily.
Yeah,
and. Yeah, hey,
again,
grass is always greener, right?
We take it for granted.
It's it's right here, but it's always the thing that's over there.
Yeah, 30 minutes from Lake Erie.
Yeah, and honestly, like it's so fun to talk about like these extreme backpacking destinations and like what's out there and how to prepare for it and what would be sweet to do. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's you don't think about the stuff in your backyard, and that's why I kind of brought up the kayaking thing.
We should buy a boat for Lake Erie. And we'll just call it the Circle Meet.
Don't even tease me because I would be so fucking down.
Yeah.
Dude, don't even do that.
I literally for 20 years have wanted to buy a sailboat.
I love that
I
for
want
you.
a sailboat.
No,
I
you
will
love that
never
for
buy
us.
a
You
boat.
just we might though.
No, I won't.
No, not a
I
sailboat.
don't know,
to-
dude. I want to be boat adjacent.
Yeah, no. This
That's
is
fine.
exactly
You know what
it.
boat
Alright,
stands
fine.
for?
Who f***ing cares about
Yeah.
put
Bust-
more money in
Bust
it,
out another 1,000. I don't want a fucking boat. My
Dude.
dad's got a boat and it's never
You're not
worked.
you're not
I
buying
don't want a boat.
you're not buying a boat expecting that it's going to be perfect every
Yeah.
I didn't
I'm
buy
not- you're right. I'm not buying a
I
boat.
didn't buy a vintage motorcycle thinking it was going to run 24/7 either.
And it's never run for
No,
more than
it's-
24 hours.
It's actually been great for the last year. It's been great.
I want to be the guy. No, this is the idea behind a boat. You want to be best friends with the boat so you can bring the case of beer every time you get to go.
Hey,
on the
dude,
boat.
I'll bring
Yeah.
you $200 every time I want to use it. Fill it up with gas, whatever. I'll bring the good time, but I don't want to fucking own that motherfucker. Hell no. I want my brother to buy a boat. Buy a boat. I'll enjoy the shit out of it, and I'll make it fun. But I don't want to own
my
it.
brother-in-law has a boat, my
And it's
sister.
awesome
And
that
it's
he owns
fantastic.
that, yeah. And it's
and
not
I
your
love
fucking problem.
Yeah, I
My
love
dad-
that.
The boat never working thing is like so universal.
Dude, it's every
How is
fucking
that
boat.
so universal?
Well, you know, I got a little bit
'Cause I
of
feel like-
sand in the pump. Gotta take it down to the fucking boat guy.
Because
Yeah,
I feel
well,
like my dad has like a bass boat. I feel like
dude.
it's never like perfect.
there's always a quirk.
That's why you get a fucking sailboat. You don't have to worry so much about the
Yeah, but
motor.
you gotta
Nah,
worry
dog,
about a
you
jig
get a friend
and
with a sailboat.
Easy, dude.
A goose. I don't even know any terms for a
Scrape,
sailboat.
scrape barnacles out the bottom. I don't know.
So funny, man. Boats are cool as man, and Lake Erie's sweet, and I've been on some big boats on Lake Erie, and it rules. But yeah, I'm not buying a boat.
That's so funny.
I want to
Well,
be on
you know-
a boat.
you know what
I
always
would love
works?
to do more of that.
You know what always works? Wherever the you go backpacking,
Your feet.
It's just gonna work. Nature's gonna work. It's fine. You just go out there and you
Yeah,
walk through.
that's
it.
I'm much more
that's my
comfortable
hobby.
with that. We talked
just
about
here.
uncomfortable situations, but I'm much more comfortable backpacking than on a boat.
Yeah,
Managing that.
water can also be scary.
I would be. I'm much more scared of like just being on water with
Yeah,
it,
not
like
seeing
out in the
anything.
open than
What- Yeah, I
than
don't
throwing
love
me in the
that.
middle of like
what
the
was
Arctic
that?
or something.
Was it we talked about this on a previous episode, but it was the race to Alaska.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That was cool.
That
That
stupid
concept
thing.
is amazing because you mentioned paddle boating too, and there was like people
They do
trying
that,
to
too.
Paddle boat.
I do. That was
Yeah.
cool. That was really cool. To
Paddleboard
me.
or
that
whatever
took
it's
us
called.
down like the Flugtag.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
went
still
down a
can't.
hole.
which
I still can't
makes
get my
me
head
happy.
around someone wanting to paddleboard.
I can't
that
either.
distance.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
just ridiculous.
I'm not
But-
interested in that either.
I can't get my head around that someone's actually completed doing it.
It sounds
paddleboarding.
asinine. Yeah.
Like, what was it, like 500 miles or some shit like
Yeah,
that?
it's something
I was from
silly.
I think it was from Seattle to Anchorage, right?
It's about 498 miles too long.
It was a long way.
That person probably looks at people who do the AT and are like, that's just crazy.
No, hold on,
On your
hold on.
feet?
It's more than 500. It's 750.
750.
Yeah,
750.
It's 698
Is it from
miles too
Seattle
long.
to Anchorage?
it's from a city in Washington to Alaska. Damn it. Any form of boat is allowed so long as it has no
motor.
motors. Support crew is not allowed. Nearly half the teams do not make it to Alaska. The record is 4 days set in 2016. So
which
yeah,
is in a
it's-
sailboat.
a record is 4
4
days.
days. The FKT.
So we just need to get the sailboat. I'm telling you, I'm just gonna I'm buying a
dude,
sailboat.
get it, man.
That's
I love
fine.
that for you.
I'm buying a sailboat. We'll go out there. We'll
Hell
do our
yeah.
thing. We'll do
Look
the
at
race
us.
to Alaska.
Yeah, we're gonna be boat adjacent, baby.
Yeah.
Boat
Let's go.
adjacent.
Hell yeah.
We'll
Let's
all
go.
bring a
Yes.
case. We'll
Yeah.
all
And when
bring.
you put the swimming pool in your backyard, I will be swimming pool adjacent, and then I will have everything in my
No,
life.
dog.
Yeah.
I got two swimming pool access to me. So.
Damn.
I guarantee you,
no.
I'm never having a pool. So
Never.
Austin,
I'm losing my access to my pool adjacent here soon, so I no.
We need someone.
I'm just gonna be
We gotta
poolless.
film. We gotta film our Nemo pads in the pool.
Dude, my
before.
parents
We
have a
do?
pool. My
Oh,
aunt has
that's
a pool.
right, that's
We've got
right.
plenty of
We
options.
can get pools
All right.
going on.
Yeah.
just need to warm up a
Hell
little
yeah.
bit. And
I like
make
it.
that happen. All right, what were we talking about again?
Well, I think,
Way off track.
I know, right? I think the big thing is there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Oh,
It's just not just in the U.S., not just overseas, but like there's in your backyard. There's a lot of opportunity.
You don't have to, and yeah, I think the moral of the story for me out of this conversation is exotic's not as far as you think, and
Yeah.
like that's I'm that much more excited about Wyoming this summer because that'll be the most different, most exotic, most extreme thing I've done ever. Not even just like since we've done backpacking, but just ever.
It's going to be cool to experience as a group together.
Yeah. I'm really excited.
It's going to be
I've never seen that
emotions
terrain
and feelings
that region of the country before. I've never hiked through that type of terrain before. Like I have no idea what it's actually going to be like. That I think is the big thing in this whole discussion is like going somewhere where you have no clue, like nothing.
We have no comparison.
Yeah, and no frame of reference because this region and sort of Appalachia and just sort of the Smokies and that area that we're in, that's my frame of reference. Everything is based against that. Mm-hmm. It's going to be way different than that.
I think it's part of the CDT, isn't it?
Sounds maybe correct. I don't know. I don't know for fact, but
I think it is.
I'd have to check.
So we can get there from here.
So we can just walk there. Okay.
No.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, all right.
That's the trip. The Wind River Range is, I think, part of the CDT. Because Quadzilla did it.
Oh, wait. I have the map on my bottle.
Yeah.
Here. Can you tell from that? They're not labeled.
It is. It is.
The CDT portion of the Wind River Range stretches from South Pass City.
It's the black line.
Yeah.
North to Union Pass.
Wait, who's Quadzilla again?
Quadzilla is a through hiker that's like an epic through hiker.
Yeah, right. That's what I thought.
He did the Triple Crown, which is doing the PCT, the CDT, and the AT, and I think he did it in a calendar year.
Yeah, I remember reading
He did all three of them in a fucking year.
That's insane.
The guy got Quadzilla is his trail name.
Right.
And he got that because his fucking legs are
huge
massive.
Quads. Nice.
He can break a watermelon in between his legs.
That's crazy.
Dude, you show me a watermelon, I'll crush it between my
dude.
legs.
I bet you can.
Oh,
that's
the
the next
watermelon?
All right, we got to get that on video now.
That's
Have you
not
ever-
that hard.
There's another
You
video.
ever seen a watermelon, bro?
There's another video.
of the dude who puts the egg in his bicep. He's like,
Yeah.
and then there's like a little girl who's
different.
like,
That's right. Built different. All right, so we got to try the watermelon challenge.
All right, Alex.
the Nemo pads on the water, and then Alex is going to do the watermelon challenge.
The first video that I Google, crushing a watermelon with your thighs isn't as easy as it looks.
Is it Quadzilla?
Yeah, it better be. I'm curious to try.
Well, you're gonna. I guess to wrap this up, guys. If you guys have any places that you've been that you would love us to go to, I'm definitely down. Shoot us an email, trailtheorypod@gmail.com. Let us know. Thank you as always. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to tell your friends, and we will see you next time.
Avast ye matey!
The Trail Theory Podcast is sponsored by Audimute and Audio Technica. Music by Dan Koch.